Here we are, we're live. Welcome to the Money GPS Live. Thank you all for being here today. Let's get the Instagrams going. All right. Okay. Just gotta check everything on my end here. Good stuff. Thank you all for being here today. We're going to get this going. We're talking about China, basically anything, in fact, whatever you want to talk about. Of course, you bring those questions to me. I will answer them as best I can. What I saw in the news today is obviously related to China and Taiwan. I have to tiptoe around the subject. As you know, can't exactly discuss everything, but we can certainly talk about the major topics that are at hand here. We got 67 people in the house. I want to thank you for being here today. We're getting, getting this on, getting the show on the road, as they say. Hello, hello. Thank you for all your work. Lots of info every month. Yes, absolutely. And there's no shortage of information. I'll tell you that. It comes in. I've considered doing a second video every day just to cover the stuff I can't cover in the main video because it goes on too long. But for now, we'll see. It's just so much stuff. Susan. Oh, there we go. Is my connection dead? Hope you guys can see me. Susan, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Hello, hello. All right. Thank you, Mark. Back on the ship. Mike, where is it? There we go. Gray says, I'm back on the ship. That's right. I thought it was sort of appropriate. I got to get some better backgrounds. I'm getting this worked on. Hopefully in the coming days, I'm going to have a really cool background. You'll see it. It'll be really good. Dan, how are you? What's going on? All right, how about them Cowboys? I'm not sure if that's referring to the football team. I don't know anything about that, but might be related to the Cowboys. Cowboys, as in real Cowboys. Recent subscriber. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for being here. And Mike, let me know what you think about the channel in relation to other channels that you may have been watching. I'd be interested to know what you think. If you put it in the comment section here, I'd like to read your comments. Thank you for the support. Good evening, Money GPS. Any reasons why no one has built semiconductor factories outside of Asia? Is it too expensive? I would think someone would have done that by now. I am not an expert in this field whatsoever. Part of that is, number one, all of these factories are in these places, okay? That's a fact. You've got different countries, different areas of each country kind of have their own skill set and so on, but ultimately Asia is by far putting out most of the products. You've also got the rare earths at the same time coming out of China. That's another big factor here. A lot of the materials that are going through and the way the logistics works right now is because these areas have been set up that way for decades and decades. So they're able to, you can do this kind of thing in any country. There's no doubt about that. But I believe that they just have such a big head start, and that's part of the problem. And now we are seeing some of that coming up today. So like I said, I'm not a huge expert in that field, but if anybody else has some input here, please put Leo. Where am I? Put Leo in that LIO and respond to him, please. If anybody knows exactly, I would want to get a better answer, and for myself too. I believe that's part of it anyway. Thank you, Leo, for subbing. So I'm seeing the spammer. If you don't stop it, one more comment and you're gone. Countries don't have the regulations. That's certainly part of why a lot of the manufacturing is there in the first place. Oh. Might want to bring the microphone along. Okay, that's better. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right. We're good. I hope we're good now. The microphone. I forget that sometimes. All right. Let's see what we got here. Much appreciated. Thank you. Absolutely. Susan, sorry about that. Okay. Just reading through your comments here. I like the open format. Absolutely. That's why I started doing these, because I want people to be able to get to me directly, and then I can get to you directly, so we can have this open dialogue instead of what most channels, especially the big channels, they do not correspond with their audience at all, or they have, some sort of, VA or an employee doing that for them, and I just don't understand why bother. Why have a channel? Well, I guess it's lucrative for those people who get those millions of subscribers, but anyway, different story. Much more broad and covering a wide range of issues. I like the fact-based approach, not just opinions. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I've noticed a lot of opinionated information. They use tidbits, but ultimately what they're trying to, there's an agenda. There's always an agenda. Just for example, I saw one of the big channels, and when I watch another channel, particularly the big ones, I'm literally watching it just to see what are they doing, how do they get. I'm trying to learn from them, even though I may disagree with them. I'm trying to learn from them. And this one guy, he said, well, you know what, Michael Burry, he's shorting Tesla, but it's a small percentage of his portfolio, and you know what, overall not that huge of a bet, so don't worry about it. Like, he's trying to basically just make sure everybody knows that he is buy the dip, bullish, don't think about anything, there's never going to be a problem, like, don't bring up those concerns. And that ultimately is fine for somebody if they want to believe that, but you got to make that decision with all of the information. So I'm bringing you some information. It's impossible for me to bring you all information. It's just not possible. If you want the typical mainstream view, why, like, people want me to do that sometimes, and I ask the question, why? Like, why would somebody want me to bring that view that all of these other YouTubers are doing, all of the mainstream media is doing? Like, just why? Why would you want me to say that? I am the alternate. I'm the alternative to that. So you get both. I'm not asking you to watch just the Money GPS, obviously. Watch all these different things and you form your own opinion based on the facts. All right, let's get this going. We got 200 people in the house right now. Only 70 likes. What's going on here? Oh my goodness. Don't forget to hit that like button. It is right down here. Hit that button. Hit that button. The like button helps out the channel, so I do appreciate that. All right. Eric, how are you? Yes, I did see that related to, the 77 planes coming in. That is, I don't know if that's the most ever, but that's certainly getting serious. Certainly getting serious. There's no doubt about it. Yes, I forgot the mic. Ugh, this garbage. Okay, you gotta go. You gotta go. No, China is 100% not going for Taiwan as long as the one country, two system is respected. Kathy Wood is in the house today, guys. I would say if I was in any country, I would want to be the ultimate decider of what happens in my own country. I wouldn't want the queen to decide. I wouldn't want, for instance, the European Union, the European Commission, the Eurozone, any of these bigger groups, anything that goes above the authority of the current government, the established government, as bad as that might be, I wouldn't want anything bigger or on top of that, because there is even less control and less oversight, less transparency. But of course, people today, they're too busy in things, and they're distracted, and they fight between each other, and they don't realize what's actually happening. Oil prices, how high? Okay, what just happened right now was another one of the issues. The oil spill off the coast of California. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to think of why this happened, or whatever. I don't really know, but it just comes out of this time right now where oil prices are already high, tensions are hot. I mean, there's so many things happening. This happened on top of it. I think that maybe could impact the price as well, sending the price up. Okay, a little bit anyway. It might just be a pop, but I think that ultimately the prices will probably continue to go higher until you know what we see with the supply chain, if that does slow down, and if inflation does slow down a bit, or if we have some sort of deflationary spiral that happens within, let's say, China starts to unfold. Okay, now that will affect the price of oil. Appreciate it. Thank you. I wonder where people think their thumbs would end up after a thumb war. Maybe they should click the thumb below the video to let people know. Yes, do it. Do that. Super chats coming in. Thank you, M, for your support. Thoughts on crypto in the Q4? Fractals seem to want 65K Bitcoin. It could absolutely happen again. I mean, it already happened. Usually, when something hits a high, it's easier to get back to that high again. There's a lot of money flowing in. There's no doubt. I think it's directly correlated to what we're seeing with risk assets in general. For instance, stocks. So if you think the stock market is going to go up, cryptos could absolutely go up. If we see a tightening cycle, particularly with higher interest rates, I think that would be a negative for cryptocurrencies. That's my guess. Okay, of course, I have no idea. I'm not looking at this on a technical analysis. I'm purely saying that in terms of fundamentals right now. But yeah, anything can happen. I do think it's very much related to what we see with interest rates. You don't often hear about that. You hear the stock to flow, you hear Michael Saylor, you hear all these different things. But I think it's ultimately for the vast majority of the holders of these cryptocurrencies over the last several years, most of those people are not true believers. They're just speculating on the price, and they've watched it go up like crazy, obviously. But they will drop it whenever they decide to do so, and that could be sooner rather than later. But again, depends on the current environment, whether we are in an easy monetary policy or whether we're in a less easy monetary policy. I could see people shifting, or companies or very wealthy people are starting to shift their portfolio around. I think we're still a very small, like cryptos are such a small part of any portfolio for the most part. So they might say, well, you know what, it's only 1% of my portfolio, I'll just leave it where it is. And so they may not touch it in that case, but certainly risk assets start to look less attractive in a slightly, in a different environment where we're not so easy. I don't want to, I'm struggling with the words because, if we go up to 1% interest rates on the Fed funds rate, it's not it's still so easy. It's still considered easy monetary policy, but that kind of, when you think easy monetary policy, you think 0%, but anyway. All right. Do you see a crisis coming up in October, as Kiyosaki said in his recent interview with Kitco? I'm not sure about what he said specifically, like why the case may be. October tends to be a big month. We are leading up to some big events, but is this something that's going to happen on the front between China and Taiwan? Maybe China's, as you see what China's been doing, they've been closing down. They've been really preparing for something big. So who knows what that's going to be. If that does happen, then you've got an issue at hand. You've got some serious things could happen. And then, of course, war could be good for, I don't want to say good, but it's beneficial for some factors. The military-industrial complex will win. Certain industrial commodities might win, but ultimately most people lose. But that remains to be seen. At this point right here, it's just gearing up for it. I can tell you that. In terms of like technicals, the markets could still look weak over the next little while. It's not looking very strong. Tomorrow's session might be up, might absolutely be up, but it's overall, the market overall is looking rather weak at this time. Thumbs up for your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thoughts on the Pandora Papers? I think they make too much of a big deal about these things. It just shows you that people are trying not to pay taxes, and we have to ask the question of why are we paying taxes? Why are we paying taxes in the first place? Like, it just goes into a black hole. If you think your taxes pay for your roads and so on, that isn't true. That's not a fact. The majority of the money gets used against you. Oh, Steve, was that you asking this one? I just answered that question a moment ago. Hope you heard that one. There's so many questions in here. Wow. Best assets to be in: real estate, equities. You're in Montreal. Okay. So real estate has its own benefits and things. There's no doubt about that. If we're talking about it purely as an investment, like not your own personal residence, it has to be cash flow positive. Cash flow positive. You can't say, well, it's cash flow negative, but because the prices are increasing so much, then everything's gonna work out and so on. There are people who do. Why is the name escaping me right now? Oh my goodness. Let me think about this in a second. So you have people like Grant Cardone, who basically they take people's money and they buy up properties, and they will give you a return based on that. The reason why somebody like Grant Cardone is better than buying a REIT, I'm not condoning or vouching for him, but just saying the reason why it's good is because with a REIT, they have to sell at a particular point. Why? Because they need to get their return back to their investors. But what if that's not the most opportune time to sell? Why would you sell it? If it was your investment, would you sell it if you knew, well, I think it's going to go up year over year? Why sell it? So it doesn't make sense. So when you have these people that are doing this based on what they think is the right time to sell and their actions and their activities, yeah, you kind of have to put more trust into them, that's for sure, which might be a concern, but then it could be better. So a syndicator, that's the word, syndicator. So, you might find this syndicator in your area that's doing this, that you trust for whatever reason, and you may not need to put that money in for yourself. The reason why you would want to do that is because you want to get into the bigger investments. The bigger multifamily real estate is going to be more beneficial because as you go into a crisis, you have people that need to rent. That's a fact. And they want to rent in different places. There isn't too much availability, like comparing Canada to the US. US has a different situation, particularly in the South. But the point is, you got multifamily residential properties that could be fantastic for not just their cash flow, but stability, especially when times get tough. Equities are absolutely in a bubble, but so is real estate. I mean, I'm not denying that. But I got to mention it. You didn't label it here, but I'm going to say it: business. And if you want my personal opinion, Amazon. An Amazon business is the best. Imagine just taking your money and you put in, let's say, $5,000, and that $5,000 you just keep rotating that over and over and over and over and over again, and then that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars later. Might take a while, but your return on investment, 100% ROI, if you're not getting that back in 90 days, like something's screwed up. Something's wrong with that. So that's just the way it is. So I'll say that because I believe business is the fourth asset class. That's just the way I look at it anyway. The Queen of the USA, there's the Queen of Canada, that's for sure. Thank you, Eric. The Space Force. They had money to burn, so they figured, let's do it. My carrots have been harvested, planting root vegetables for the cold season. Hope you are well, David. Awesome. Good work. Yeah, I'm parked out here in the middle of the ocean because that's where the reception is better. So I need to get you some good reception. So that's what it's all about. Okay. Thank you, Lawrence. Common prosperity. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that, what that sounds like, personally. Eric saying, what's on the agenda? We are talking about China. We are talking about Taiwan. We are talking about Pandora Papers, if you'd like to. It's all good. Everything's on the table. John's getting bored. Good stuff. There's some good kitten videos if you're interested. Here, John. Let me help you with that. Let me see. John, you still here? John, is that better? Let me know. Let me know. Can you put in the comments? Is that better? John? John, you here? David, I saw a recent map of all the shipping containers parked off the North American coast. Any idea why that is? I've been covering that for a while, and essentially what we have is multiple issues. What they're saying is one of the big holdups is there's not enough truck drivers. The truck drivers normally would be carrying that cargo inland, but that's not happening. That is apparently one of the issues. Another thing is, you've got different policies, restrictions, lockdowns, this and that at the ports themselves. Another thing is the fact that there's so much demand. There's just so much product entering the United States. They're claiming at the same time that there's people that have been quitting at an alarming rate. They don't want to be part of this business anymore. It's too tough. The pay is not enough. So there's like so many different things converging at the same time. Thank you for taking the time to go live on the weekends. It's something to look forward to. Outstanding. Wish it was longer. I tried to, initially my idea when I first did the first live, I said, okay, half an hour. If I can do half an hour, that would be really good because I can answer some questions and so on. And then it just went to an hour and a half, which is crazy. But hey, if you're so financially wise, why are you begging for donations? Is this a real question? Is that seriously a real question? Oh. How many times are you going to ask this question? Stop at. Okay, I see the spam. Why are there's all these? Okay, you're gone. Are you still here? Let's see. Do I need to get rid of you? If I see your comment one more time, you're gone. This is ridiculous. So much stupidity out there. There's so many nice people and you got garbage. Haven't you been doing this forever? Been doing YouTube for 10 years. My wallet might quit, but my heart will never quit. I love you, Janet. Janet, hey. Janet's mine. Okay? Janet's mine. Southern California, hello, hello. Hope you're not anywhere near that oil spill. I just saw that oil spill. Love supporting GPS. Sorry, just arrived. No kittens, just the truth. Can you summarize? Yeah, basically, thank you for support. We were just talking about China, Taiwan, what's happening. 77 planes flew in, obviously trying to stir up some stuff. I think that is a huge concern. The U.S. is looking at it like, hey, we get involved in everything. Maybe we'll get involved in this one. So there's some serious business happening there. I think that this could be a potential catalyst for something much, much bigger. The only reason why I don't think that that'll be the case is because that could escalate in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes, and it would be terrible for everybody involved, even if you're not around there, because, the whole world could be lit up in a matter of seconds, like I said. So that's it. But any question you want to ask, you're welcome to do so. Thank you for support. Appreciate that because you didn't ask. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Susan, thank you. Tough crowd tonight. Don't listen to these clowns. You're greatly appreciated by 271,000 now. Yes. Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate everybody's love and support. Thank you. I can't believe it, but the last few videos, like over the last 10 videos, has actually been quite a few views, which is I haven't had this happen in a very long time. So it's been really good. And there's new people coming in every day. It's really cool to see that, to see people interested in the truth. Not everybody, of course, likes it. That's okay. But that just seeing how many people out there are interested in saying like, wait a minute, the Federal Reserve not good? They're not working in my best interest or even in the best interest of the, the financial world. There's something else going on there. Hey, wait a minute. And they're starting to dig into that and realize it. So that's really cool to me anyway. Thank you. Thank you for donating your time and mine to us. Much appreciated. Please accept my part of the energetic exchange. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Jack as well. Thank you for the support, everybody. I try to do as best I can with the tools I got and the concrete head that I got, but I hope that this type of information is good. It's funny because, you could be watching some show, entertainment or something, whatever, but when you watch the Money GPS videos, what I try to do is distill information down as best I can. So I hope you appreciate that. Oil price end of year, assuming that there is no deflation happening. Like let's say situation same as today. If that's the case, WTI oil above 90, I would say is very easy. That's very easy, but that's a price prediction. That's a guess. And I wouldn't put anything behind that. That's where it looks like it's going. But if you start to have like China's GDP numbers start falling, we're going into some harder times. There's a recession, this and that. Then the oil price could potentially come down or at least stay flat. Would we win a war? Well, the U.S. hasn't won a war. When was the last time they won? I don't know. The point is not to win. The point is to stretch it out as long as possible. If you win, that's terrible. It's not a good thing for the military industrial complex. But I don't think, just in general, no side would win because I think it would erupt so rapidly because of the nukes and so on. I could see the oil spill off your port. Yes, the oil dropped from here into the ocean. I was driving the boat and Janet, she was on me, distracted me. I apologize. We're getting it cleaned up. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all you do. Thanks for the update. Prefer to support you than spend my cash on the mainstream media, cable companies that show the kittens. Yes, if you want kittens, although I can show you some kittens, we can go there. We can do that. How about this? Can we do that a little bit? Just a little bit of kittens, guys. Okay, a little, just for a minute. A little bit of kittens. Okay, going back on the ship. That's the type of thing that it's funny, but it's true because they're only willing to show you so much. And the platform I'm on right now, again, not only allowed to go in a level deeper, but at least we get in one level deeper. That's good because that brings that awareness out in people, and there's so much to learn. Like, look at the history of the Federal Reserve. I can talk about this all day long. If you start to realize what's going on with the Federal Reserve, deep details, it's like just boom. It's like an explosion that happens inside your mind. You start wondering, wait a second, whoa. Why is JP Morgan doing that right now? And you start to realize, oh, wait a minute. JP Morgan was involved with the creation of the Federal Reserve and has the most to gain from all of these activities. And then, every piece of news looks different to you after that moment. Kenneth, thank you for the support. Your thoughts on silver? Had a tough several weeks. Yeah, so, okay, although they're not the same, I look at gold and silver the same. That's just the way I do it, the way I like to do it. And what I always say is when all else fails, then they turn to gold. You will see countless videos out there telling you any number of reasons why gold is going to go to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. They're going to revalue the gold, and they're going to do it at the amount of money they printed. Hey, they printed $7 trillion, therefore gold is going to be at $20,000 an ounce, whatever. They could pick any number they want. There's Jim Rickards, who says China has secretly been hoarding a whole lot of gold. They won't admit it publicly, but it's there. That means when they're ready to go in this direction, that they're going to have their currency backed by gold. It's going to be redeemable in gold. And so that means that gold is going to be at $20,000 an ounce. Okay, all this information is at this time, it's not valid. Okay, maybe at some point in the future we will see that happen. I really don't know. It would be great to see gold somehow in the financial system. Somehow it isn't. If you talk to anybody in the financial field, they look at gold like it's a joke, and that is sad. And that's just the way it is, okay? So we have to take it for what it is. Gold and silver are the two most manipulated assets in the face of the earth. There has been so much documentation of that. Just one example, you can look up GATA. They have documented it thoroughly. If you want to look at more recent examples, you can see the people time and time again getting caught, whether they're at JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, whatever it might be. You look at what they have shown. Oh yeah, we were manipulated. They get their emails, they're transcribed, and it says, yeah, we were playing with the price overnight in the after hours. It was so easy to make money doing this. We were playing around with the price of gold. They got caught. Okay, and what happens? Nothing happens. The emails say it's so easy to do and everybody does it. I don't know who everybody is, but certainly there are a group of people who are doing that. So we know that's the way it is. However, there could be a time when even people don't want even US debt, because US debt is considered a safe haven. Once that doesn't look so attractive, or once bonds maybe don't look so attractive, then gold can be more attractive. So that's what I'm looking at. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. I have a video. You could try typing in gold, the money GPS, and you should get some. I believe they were in 2020. I filmed 2 videos within a few months apart, largely saying much of the same thing, just going into a little more depth on it. So I hope that answers your question. But in the short term, I wouldn't even think about what happens. And I should also say what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book Fake. If you've read his book Fake, if you don't want to read it, listen to the audiobook Fake. He says that you should save the concept. I mean, I had this and I understood this and I agreed with this, and this is the way I think about it, but the way he said it was really good. You should save your money in gold and precious metals, essentially. Save your money. What would you do with your savings? You don't spend your savings. You don't take your savings and deploy them elsewhere. You save your savings. That's the whole point of savings. And how long should that be? Should you wait for the peak of the cycle and sell? You could, but that's not your savings anymore. That would be just an asset being sold off. The savings should be kept for as long as you can, hopefully indefinitely, and then you pass it on to the next generation. So cultures of the East, they may have coins. They have a wedding or something, big celebration. They take these coins, they give them out, and that keeps the wealth within the family. So that's the way that I look at it. Okay, we got Michael asking on Instagram, should people be ready to sell if the market become more risk off? That is totally up to you. I can't give financial advice, but the question is, where do you put your money? I think that's the big concern. And yeah, it really all depends what you want to do. You can sell maybe your assets and put that onto your debt. If you have, your own house and you got a big mortgage, you can always do that. That's an option. You could buy into different types of assets, what you believe is safe and secure and sound. There's always something that's going to perform better than others. Even in 2018, which is a really terrible year for assets, there were some things that were doing okay, right? So you got to look at it in more depth, but ultimately it depends on your personal situation and where your assets currently are, how much assets you have. If you've got 10,000 invested, it's going to be a different situation than if you got 1,000,000. So am I bearish for October? Not necessarily, because October can actually be a good month for stocks. Historically. So historically, the second half of September is a bad month, or a bad half of the month for stocks. And look what happened. Wasn't so good, right? But October could be extremely bad, or it can be good. So it doesn't tell us anything. If you look at the major market indices, they are looking, I would say, weaker, but not super bearish, right? But overall, they're still looking bearish. Particularly, I had a whole chart set up. If you just give me 1 sec, I'll pull that up. Dow Jones currently on the bearish side. And where was the other one that I had? Okay. Yeah, Russell as well. Okay, the Russell as well. Like I said, it's not 100%. And I think the banking index as well. But anyway. So I'm not overall just bearish. The reason why is because the markets have come down from their peak. Apple was down something, I don't know if in the last trading session, but at one point it was down 9% from its peak. So that was certainly there. And you also look at the fact that, the Federal Reserve hasn't tapered yet, and it's still uncertain whether we'll do that 100%, though they say they will. So the taper is going to be really the big thing. If they start to taper, then I think the whole landscape changes altogether. But on a global scale, we are already in a tightening mode. There's been over 50 rate cuts right now in the cycle. So cheers. Historically speaking, the fourth quarter is when many companies make their earnings due to the shopping season. Do you think it will be bearish? Well, see, the concern here is that a lot of these companies are saying we're not going to do well in the fourth quarter because we can't get stuff in. So if we can't get it in, we can't sell it. So I think that's one of the concerns. Typically, yeah, fourth quarter is huge for a lot of companies. That's just, there's so much money. There's so much money that's generally being purchased, or things are being purchased around this time. A lot of money spent. You're welcome. US Fed is all in. The US Fed can never stop printing. I would say that they will be stopping their printing and that it's going to be devastating. I don't think, people don't understand what the Federal Reserve did. So back in 2019, late 2019, in fact, September 17th, up until the official beginning of QE5, there was the hidden QE4. QE4, which they can call it whatever they want, but it's QE4. QE4 was the fastest rate of money printing ever in history up until that point. Then QE5 was even faster. But the acceleration, the pace of their money printing in a time when they told everybody they weren't printing money, it was a technical adjustment, just shows you what they're willing to do. Now that was going on, and what happened to the stock market? Well, of course, you still saw the markets coming down significantly in March timeframe, February-March timeframe. So what happened? How could the market come down if the Fed had just printed historically the most money ever in history? How's that possible? They printed all that money. They printed literally trillions of dollars in a matter of a few months. How is it possible? I think if they were going to stop printing, they would have done it already. Well, no, because they realize that they need, well, you know, I struggle with what to say because, you know, depends on what levels everybody is at and what they're comfortable with. I'll just say what I believe to be the truth is that if you think the Federal Reserve is there to help people or to help businesses or to help the general financial system, then you haven't studied the history. It is a simple matter of fact that they are there to control it on the way up, control it on the way down, create the boom and bust cycle, and effectively erode the value of the currency into nothingness. But you can't, like, the maximum amount of wealth. So if you look at who originally started the Federal Reserve, look that information up and you will know who stands to gain. And then you realize they don't do their big purchases, their biggest purchases when the markets are going up. They don't make the maximum amount of gains during the market going up. It is, in fact, when everybody is scared to buy, not what happened in 2020. That was down, what, 20%, 30%, somewhere down maybe 35, 40%. That's nothing. That's nothing. Warren Buffett bought Geico at something like 97 or 98% down. Nobody wanted to touch the stock, and he bought it essentially for nothing. Okay? Made many, many, many multiples on his cash. When everybody looked at that and said, that's a big bunch of garbage right now. It's going to go bankrupt tomorrow. He went in and bought that up. Now, maybe he had some assurances, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be okay with Geico. That might be the case. And that's the way that these insiders work. But the market still collapsed in the financial crisis time frame. The interest rates were super low. The market kept coming down. So we have to understand that what they do is not what you think, what they say, the FOMC meetings, and even the underlying message of don't worry, we're going to take care of you, we're going to tuck you into bed at night. That is just a show. It's the marionettes swaying to the symphony of destruction. All right. For all my Megadeth fans out there, is there anything that I'm optimistic about? 100%. I don't know if that's supposed to be said in whatever, directing at me. But anyway, what am I optimistic about? 100%, there's no question about it. Homegrown food. More and more people today are getting into this. And I think there's a new trend forming with people growing food at home. So that used to be a thing back in the day. And then it was a long lost art. Oh, and I think as of the last maybe 5 years or so, it has really, really picked up. And you see that demand just in the amount of YouTube channels that have been popping up all over the place, talking about, their knowledge, passing it on. And you can see just there's a million out there, and they're all great. Anybody who talks about growing food at home, it's all good. There's no one better than the other. Each one has good stuff to share, and whatever gets you growing, make it happen. I will be doing in the springtime, hopefully, if I can, I will be doing how to set up a garden bed from start to finish. I will show you the progress throughout and make videos, put them all in a playlist here on the channel. So stay tuned for that in the coming months. I think the market starts to sell off again on Monday. It is possible. There's definitely some lingering weakness there. The futures were up, but we never really know until the market opens. Platinum. Yeah, platinum being one of the precious metals, platinum, palladium. I would say that historically, because of gold and silver's position as money historically, and the fact that you have central banks holding onto gold, that is definitely something that I would that I like about it, right? But it's not the only precious metal. When you talk about your precious metal portfolio, including platinum and palladium, I put them kind of together, even though they shouldn't be. Platinum and palladium as part of that, I think it's a good thing to have some exposure to it. In 10 years, Bitcoin will take over all of gold's valuation. That's right. That's right. Kathy Wood is in the house. Maybe it's Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor, is that you? Michael? Mr. Saylor, I want to interview you. Mr. Saylor, if you're available, Mr. Saylor. Would the world trust a Chinese currency even if it's gold backed? Well, what if they decided that if you want to do business with us, you've got to use it? They could. Right now, everybody is forced to use the U.S. dollar, and a lot of them don't want to. That's a simple matter of fact. A lot of countries, maybe they reluctantly, but they do a lot of business with China. There's no doubt about it. And China buys everything from all these countries. You've got something to export, China needs to buy it because they can't meet their own demand. They've got too many people moving from the rural areas into the cities, and they have this voracious appetite for all types of commodities and everything essentially, and whatever they can't make internally, they need to buy it from outside, and that is beneficial for maybe Brazil exporting agriculture. Maybe it's a different country. Maybe it's Chile exporting their copper. Who knows? What is GPS in money? I'm not sure what you mean exactly. GPS like the GPS in your phone, GPS in your car. The title of my original book was Guiding You Through an Uncertain Economy. So the guide being the GPS, being the information in the book. Peace, love, and bean shoots. Nice. Don't wait to start growing your own food. This is a great time for growing microgreens and lettuces indoors under grow lights. I completely agree with that. Completely agree. Everybody can do this inside their house. Even just simple sprouts in a jar. Do what you can. It's all good. Let's see what we got here. Comments on Instagram. They don't have to be, the Fed doesn't have to be in the mortgage-backed securities. I completely agree with that. The intention supposedly is that they would get rid of the treasuries and the mortgage-backed securities in equal weighting so that they would finish at the same time. So that would bring us into the middle of next year by the time it's all gotten rid of. They don't need to be in the mortgage business at all. They used to call it toxic assets, if you remember that. Hilarious, considering what we're doing now. They say that they want to tax the rich, but they want to see $600 transactions. I don't think they're doing that for the rich. Obviously, they want to be able to control everything. But the $600 thing, I don't think that's necessarily the case, okay? So watch out where you get the information from. I haven't covered that yet, if you notice on the channel, because it's not official yet. So I'm waiting for that to be official before talking about it. So just be careful, okay? Thoughts on holding gold to buy real estate? I don't like selling one asset for another in that case for gold. I would have, like, if you buy gold as in like GLD, different story. But if you're holding physical metals, I think they should be held permanently. You're also taking on a big risk because you're buying something hoping that it's going to appreciate. Meanwhile, this is the most manipulated asset ever. Everything has exploded in price. Name something, the price is so much higher than it was many years ago. For gold and silver, look at silver especially. Silver used to be $50. How many things do you know that are less than where they were many years ago? There's just not many things. And then you factor in inflation on top of that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Hydroponics lack soil nutrients. Yeah, I think if you look at what the vast majority of people are eating, like just look at the average person, look at what they're eating. Like, I don't want to offend anybody, whatever, fast food and stuff. That I would say I would gladly take a head of hydroponic grown lettuce than that. I mean, it's food like products. I would take that hydroponic any day. Personally, that's just me. Matthew's been growing indoor for years. Good stuff. Indoor grow lights, if you know. Smash that like button right down here somewhere. Let me hit it for you. I'm running low on my water here. Let's see if we can get those likes. Come on. We have had 6,000 people come in and out of the house today. So I want to thank you all for being here no matter where you are around the world. We got 365 people here right now. We've been going for 1 hour. 1 hour. Thank you all for your time today. The video that I did today is the best performing video out of the last 10 at least. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. There's so much that I've been covering recently. I've been trying to condense as much as I can and yet give really good stuff that I can. And what I see a lot of times is I happen to be earlier than other people, which hopefully means that you're able to get my video in. It's probably about less than 12 hours after I finish it. By the time it's edited, by the time it's posted and everything, is less than 12 hours later. That's as fast as I can possibly create the content. But anyway, I hope you guys appreciate it. The grand solar minimum. Yes, I've heard about this many times before. I think that even if we enter a place in which the world becomes much cooler, you can always grow in a very cold environment. It shouldn't stop anybody. It's more difficult. There's no doubt about that, but you should still be growing. And that's why I say people, look at a YouTube channel called 1 Yard Revolution. I talk about the channel all the time specifically because he's growing in the cold. He grows right through the year. I don't think the guy's made videos for 2 years, but he is in Chicago. He's growing in a very typical backyard, nothing big at all, grows quite a bit of food. And he has a simple explanation. It's all about frugal gardening. That's the difference too. He wants to do it on the cheap and grows right through the year. So even in a very, very cold environment, it is still possible to grow food without adding additional heat. Hello, welcome in. All right. Thank you for the support. The Federal Reserve and the U.S. government are heavily intertwined. If the U.S. runs high deficits to be purchased by the Fed, doesn't it help the people in the U.S.? If the U.S. runs high deficits and then the Fed buys it, essentially, doesn't it help the people? I would say no, because over time you're actually destroying the currency. The high deficit is the problem in the first place, and the Fed is not necessarily bailing them out. I don't personally see it like that, but others can disagree with me. I think that while, yes, I do agree that they are intertwined, the Federal Reserve and those in control are able to determine what happens for real. You know, it's not the case of like there's these, you know, the politicians and stuff, they know what's going on. The politicians don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going on. But I don't know what else to say about it, to be honest with you. Is it helping the people? I mean, nothing that they do is helping the people. I just can't. Every action that they take seems to be hurting the people. That is just, it's sad, the way I see it. That's just the way I see it personally. But I just, my hope would be that they reduce government spending significantly, done in the proper way, get rid of the NSA, get rid of all these different, you know, things that they're doing overseas that are just destroying people's lives. And then also essentially stop with the Federal Reserve. Just get rid of it entirely. There is no purpose to have a Federal Reserve, but it will continue to just go on and on and on. Their track record has been horrible. They talk about the dual mandate. Price stability is one of them, and they have been reducing the value of the US dollar, which is now a Federal Reserve note, to basically nothing. It has almost no value left. Crossed the mark of 1 metric ton of dried beans and rice 6 years ago. Keep going, you'll get there. Wow. Good stuff. We don't need no Fed Reserve leech. I agree. People think that they support the system, they support this, the markets, this and that. They're just a leech. They're just a leech. Welcome, Instagram. All right, we are an hour and 2 minutes into this. Thank you all for being here. I'm reading through your comments. Dig in for subterranean greenhouses. Nice. Just went on vacation in Arizona. All I can think of is how much better the rest of the country looks compared to my hometown of Chicago. I see some people battling here about cryptos and so on. We'll see. MoneyGPS energy really seems to be in the world news headlines. Is coal going to be in the headlines this week? Thanks for the tips on cold growing indoors. Yes. So coal is huge, obviously. I've been covering this. I've been covering that all throughout this week, especially I think the last 2 videos talked about it. Let's face it. It is a large part of the energy usage for the world right now, particularly in places like China. And they're manufacturing the majority of the stuff around the world. So we've just outsourced the production of stuff and the manufacturing of that stuff, and also the pollution. So when people say, well, look, China's the biggest polluter, they're this and they're that. Well, at the same time, they're doing all the manufacturing. They're doing all of these different things. And I'm not trying to make any excuses for them. I'm just trying to say the outsourcing happened, but you also outsource that pollution to them as well. And they don't really care. Clearly, they don't really care about what happens. So at least it appears that way. But I would just say that in this case here, all energy seems to be going up, all of it. There doesn't seem to be one that is, really cheap, or just like commodities. Even the ones that have come down quite a bit, like iron ore and lumber, are still expensive, even though they're way off their highs. Thank you for the support. Supply chain crisis, Evergrande, inflation, etc. What will be the black swan's feather that breaks the camel's back? Cheers from Brazil. Thank you very much. Wow. I mean, it's difficult. It's so difficult to tell. If I had to, like, what worries me a lot, obviously China, and like the most immediate threat, I believe, China-Taiwan situation. Hopefully nothing happens there. Hopefully that's just, provocation, saber rattling, whatever. Inflation is probably the most persistent thing that is likely to be a much worse problem in the coming months. That's the most likely scenario. The only way that it's not is if you start to have some sort of recession in a country like China. So if they start to experience much, much slower growth, which growth is slowing down, you start to have that happen, then you're going to perhaps slow everything down, less commodities are needed, inflation can come down, supply chain might ease up a little bit, and that could be, in a sense, beneficial. So that all depends. But right now, yeah, inflation is a huge worry. Okay. See what we got here. Barring any intervention, our stock market will tank tomorrow. Remember, barring an intervention, the plunge protection team will be burning the midnight oil tonight. I'm interested to see it. I'm interested. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen in the future, but we'll see. A lot of talk about the cryptos in here going on. 271K. Heck yeah, good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The channel has actually grown. It wasn't that case. The August was brutal. It was a brutal month for the views, for the subs. But over the last week or so, it's actually grown. So I'm really happy. There's a lot of talk about that in here. Everybody's chatting about it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Cryptos. I think that the vast majority, the big groups out there in the financial industry did not predict what was going to happen with crypto. I think they just didn't. They just thought, nope. Right through 2013, 2014, 2015, they would like continue on, no. And then like way later, they said, maybe we should, set up an exchange for this stuff, set up some futures. What is that? The CME? I think it's the CME that does the Bitcoin futures. If I'm saying that wrong, let me know. I'm pretty sure it was the CME. They said we created it to pop the Bitcoin bubble. The guy literally said that. One of the officials there, one of the top guys, and that they did it successfully at that time. I think that was when it was hitting 20,000. They popped it. They sent that down, and it was down for a while, 8,000, 9,000. And there were many opportunities along the way at that price range, but I think it just shows you how they initially dismissed it, ignored it, and then it grew significantly, really, truly significantly over the years. I think most of it is unknown. I think that we are really, really in the infancy at this point, not even close to where the crypto, not necessarily Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, but just the way that we are today, I think it's going to be looking a lot different many years from now, which is good. You want that to adapt and evolve and so on. That's the difference between, let's say, the US dollar. US dollar started as something very, very different. Today, it's got the pyramid on the back, the all-seeing eye. It's got, all the different symbolism on it. This US dollar is, represents something really terrible. But at the same time, its value has declined significantly and has never really been better. It doesn't get better is what I'm trying to say. But if you have something that is, able to be, I don't want to say manipulated, but if it's able to grow or be better, like even the example of the competition. If I don't like Bitcoin and I'm storing my money in Bitcoin as an asset, let's say, and I think that Ethereum is a better asset, I could then move my money to Ethereum and we can exchange between each other in the matter of seconds. And there's lots of things that we can do, but it is up to the market to decide what lives and what doesn't. Instead of saying, this is legal tender, this is what you're stuck with, and guess what? Every single year, it's worth less and less and less and less, guaranteed. That right there is just unbelievable. That's like the way I see it is terrible. I see it terrible. But a lot of people, they don't. They say, the US is the best, and therefore the US dollar is the best, and everything else is not good, and this and that, and I don't know. They're not even really trying to analyze the situation. So how did space weather wind up in a finance channel? Not sure. I'm not sure what that reference is. Oh yeah, Evergrande in China right now. I've done so many videos about it. I was annoying my subscribers. I would highly recommend checking those out. Just over the last week, it's looking terrible, and it is a concern. It is a very big concern. It's bigger than, so it's not necessarily a Lehman moment. Okay, it's not necessarily a Lehman moment, but it is a problem. Remember, 40 to 50% of the debt is off balance sheet. Who knows how much is there? Who knows what kind of garbage that they were getting themselves into? We don't know. I covered it all in those videos. Definitely check it out. Starting with Michael Burry's warning about it. So you could check that out. Thank you for the support. They haven't declared war ever. Okay. What's happening to them right now, I think, is crazy, to say the least. We don't need any more of that. I mean, just look at Afghanistan, look at Iraq, look at all these different countries. That's the last thing we need globally. We need our money, our resources, our time, our energy, and our love going to things that matter a lot more than that. If the military-industrial complex has to shrink considerably as a result of that, oh well. I'm sure most people won't be missing it. Okay? That's just the way I see it. Lehman was 30 billion. Yeah. It's the contagion effect. It's like the domino effect, right? I think that's the point. Good point you're making there. Most manipulated assets in the world, gold and silver. What comes after the dollar, what very well could be, is a central bank digital currency. If you are not outside the system in some way, you will be moved to the central bank digital currency, and then it is game over. Could be. Evergrande's not coming back unless China steps in. That's what many people are saying, that China will, in fact, step in. But at the same time, they have to look real tough. They can't go and, look at the things they do. If people steal money, if people do bad things in the country, I mean, they're doing some serious stuff there. And then they're going to go bail out a company like that after all the shenanigans that they were pulling of the things that we know. So, yeah, we'll see. Economy in Brazil is a mess right now. Starvation is getting worse. Homeless and poor growing now more than ever in the past 30 years. That's terrible to hear. Terrible to hear, especially if the same circumstances with the power prices and everything just rising. That hits people in the lower incomes real hard. It's unfortunate. So hopefully that's not the case in the near future. Oh, the CME and the CBOE. Okay. All right. Who was... Yeah, okay. You guys 100% have no right to talk about China when all you read is Western propaganda. I mean, everybody is welcome to an opinion, no matter where you are and no matter what it's about. You have the right, because you have freedom of speech. And the day that you accept the thought that you don't have freedom of speech, it is gone. And the ones who will take your freedom of speech are not your overlords. They're not your government. It's not going to be some entity above you. It's going to come from your peers, from the people around you, from your neighbors, from your family, from your coworkers. And of course, there would be pressure applied to them from left, right, and center, but that's where it's coming from. It always historically happens that way. It's just the way it is. Do you honestly believe that a digital currency would be the future for the US dollar? Yeah, 100%. Why do I believe this? It's because they're going, look at the stages of money. So you got, gold is the money, but, okay, gold is money. All right. Then we move into a time frame when, okay, gold is money, but it's redeemable in this paper garbage. Okay, no worries. It's easier to carry around the paper garbage than it is the coin. Good stuff. Okay, well, now we're going to devalue the amount. All right, fine, whatever. It's in the back end. I don't know. I'm working a 9-to-5 job. I'm busy. I have the family. I've got the weather. I've got the car. I've got the house. I got okay, I'm too busy. Okay, whatever happens, happens. Okay, good. And then, as you know, 1933, revaluing the gold. Continue on. 1971, you see them, Nixon pulling the world off the gold standard. Gold is not part of the currency any longer, not being pegged at $35. Okay, that's done with it. Now it's truly fiat. Now you see the debt expanding at levels it's never been before. Where are we now? Looking at a new monetary system at some point. That new monetary system is going to be likely to be a worse scenario, probably having something to do with this whole cashless society, and everything is moving to this new digital currencies. 1 year ago, the Federal Reserve was saying, absolutely not, we're not doing digital currencies, we're not playing in that game, no way, no how. This year, they're saying, yeah, we're going to be doing that. I mean, a lot has changed in that regard. So the Federal Reserve says, yeah, we're going to be testing it out, we're going to be playing around with it, we're talking about it. They didn't say we're going to be implementing a digital currency. It's going to be called the Fed coin or whatever, and this is going to happen in 2022. No, but they're now acknowledging it. So huge change year over year. Why would the government ever allow a decentralized digital currency? Well, the government, like, why would they allow anything? Like, why? You can technically just use sticks and stones if you wanted to, really. You could trade in other currencies. You don't have to use necessarily the US dollar. You can get euros, you can get whatever, and you can use that currency. I mean, you could trade and barter. I mean, the government doesn't have control over absolutely everything. But if they force you through legal tender or for different reasons force you through their systems, then of course you have to abide by their rules. You clearly do not understand China. It's not always that Western ideology of free speech is the best. Harvard did a study and showed that 95% of the people support. Are you saying in China? I wouldn't trust that poll. Why would you want that? Sorry, hold on. Why would free speech ever be bad? I have the right to tell you something, and you have the right to say, no, that's not true. You had the right, Kathy Wood, you had the right to tell me that the stock market goes up every single day. It always goes up. There's no such thing as a crash. And even though I disagree with that, you had the right to say it. And I appreciate that right. You're allowed to say whatever you want. You're not hurting me. You're not threatening me. You're not doing anything in that manner. So you're free to say it. And that's awesome because we can disagree and we can have those conversations. But if I said, for instance, you know what? I don't like the Queen. I don't like the Queen of Canada to exist. I think she should go off, hang out in her palace, and think, you know what? The time has come to say we don't want this monarchy wearing $1 million crown, sitting in $1 million throne, and I've got a few words about it that I can really get into. But of course, that is free speech that some don't want me to have because they say, long live the Queen and all this nonsense. It's my opinion. I don't think there should be a queen because nobody's bloodline should determine my status as a human being. That's the way I see it. We are 1 hour and 23 minutes in. We're going to go on for another 5 or 10. Don't forget to hit that like button. Like. Hit it. Good stuff, guys. Thank y'all for being here. James is saying, Queen Janet. Janet? Yeah. Oh, Heather's saying that too. I lost the chat here. Where is it? I got two screens open at the same time, and it's... Where was that? There's like a million comments. This is great, guys. It's just hard to find them all. Why don't I see it? There we go. Janet Yellen is the queen of the U.S. She's my queen. Janet's my queen. All right, different. That's a different queen. Queen Janet. %90 of Chinese don't care about that. Oh, then that's okay, right? If they want that, I mean, they're in their country and they should be able to do whatever they want, and that's all good. That's all good, right? But what I believe is the maximum freedom equals maximum prosperity. You do get problems. Having freedom you might encounter problems along the way. Okay? It's just like, hey, you don't put training wheels on your bicycle, you're going to fall off, you're going to scrape your knee. You're going to fall off, you're going to bang your head. You got the freedom. You've got the freedom to do that. But you might learn to do it better and faster, ultimately, without those training wheels. That's kind of the way I look at it. Thank you for the support. As always, rising inflation and rising interest rates, economic pincer maneuver courtesy of central banks. Yeah, this is like the interest rates coming globally, okay, on a global level. For everybody watching this, this is coming on a global scale. There's already been 50 plus rate hikes in this cycle. 50 plus. Okay, so it is moving into tightening. For the US, they haven't done anything at this point. A couple things. I shouldn't say that. A couple things they have done, but it's really, really loose right now. Okay, let's be honest. So yeah, for sure. But there's only one way to get inflation to stop. People say no, they just won't increase interest rates. They're not going to do it. If inflation gets too high, which it is already, it's gone beyond where they said it would. Let's be honest. In terms of the actual amount of inflation and also the duration, the length of time. So next year, we're going to be here talking in a year from now. And it's like, inflation rates are 242%, but the Fed says it's transitory. Like, I mean, come on. Come on, guys. But anyway, they only have one tool, and that is raising interest rates. So it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, gonna stay for a few more minutes, guys. YOLO comes on Evergrande. That could be, you know what? You never know, right? That would be, it's like holding a stick of dynamite. You could, maybe that pays off, but it's a dynamite. So you gotta watch out. There's other better. If you could learn how to do swing trading, you could be making money, potentially making money every week, right? So there's just, I think anyway, there's better ways to do it. So. I totally understand the American view and the Chinese view. Unless you took the time to understand China, you're wrong on many things for China. So I'm not, just to be clear here, I'm not saying there's something wrong with China or anything at all. What I'm trying to say is, to be honest, I even forgot how we got on the subject. But there's nothing against it. I have nothing. Nothing negative to say in that respect. I just think that if people want to express themselves, that they should be able to. People should have liberty to do whatever they want. They should be able to wear whatever they want, to look however they want, to do whatever they want, as long as they don't hurt somebody else. If they start to hurt somebody else or incite violence, totally different story. But other than that, people should be free to do what they want and have that freedom of expression whenever and however they desire. That's the way I see it. Thank you for support. What do you think about Washington State? It appears that half of the state wants to get rid of the no income tax and the other wants to keep it. Yeah, that's not good. So if they bring that in, it's going to be a net negative for the state. I do believe, because as a result of what we have seen so far, like what do they do? Oh, we've got problems. What do we do then? What do we do? How do we pay the bills? We increase tax, and it never helps the people. Have you ever seen an increased tax actually help? It doesn't exist. It does not exist. Oh, don't worry, we're only going to do it for the rich people. Come on, come on, come on. No, don't believe it. Do not believe it. So if that happens, unfortunately, bad situation. I don't know in terms of percentages and what they're thinking, how the implementation is going to be, but it's just in general, if I were to generalize it, bad. Businesses won't want to be there. It's not good. It's just bad. What are they trying to do? They're just trying to squeeze that last drop. Squeeze that last drop out of people. Never a good thing. So that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for the support. 90% of Chinese do care about that, just the government that controls them, brainwashes them. Yeah, I would think that most people, like if you look at a child, okay, a child grows up and they're doing all these things that maybe it's too dangerous for them. Maybe they're climbing on something they shouldn't. Maybe they're going for the stove and they shouldn't do that. They're getting, doing things dangerous, okay? And then as a parent or as somebody will say, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. And some things that they could be trying to, jump down the stairs or something like I did when I was a child. But, and you could say, well, they're there to take care of them or point them in the right direction and so on. But you could see that inherently the child wants to have freedom of expression and desires and movement and mobility and all of this. So inherently that is built into the humanity and everything else, really. So that's the way I see it. That's all. That's my opinion, right? Everyone could have their own opinion. You could do what you want. As soon as you try to push it on me or my kids, that's the end of it. Absolutely. Smash that like. Taxes only go up. Completely agree. There's no doubt about that. Jeremy, thank you for the support. How is Canada? Canada's cold all the time, year round. Igloos as far as the eye can see. My parents let me burn my hand on the stove. Ouch. But hopefully you only did it once. Hopefully. That's the kind of thing, right? You get burned once, you remember that the second time you're about to touch, you say, oh, no. Sometimes that needs to happen. I'll tell you, I only jumped down the stairs. Oh, maybe I did it twice. No, I did it once. That hurt. Which no income tax state is best to you? I don't know. I'm not a tax attorney and a tax law and all this stuff, an accountant, none of that. But I would say that if you're just starting your business, just open up a corp anywhere you can. Especially in the US, it's dirt cheap to do it. If you're opening up a corporation, just open up the corporation, like go to your accountant and talk to them. And just maybe they're unfamiliar with opening up in a different state, or maybe they're not allowed to operate in different states and whatever. But I think start with the corporate structure, because when you work in a corporate structure, it's entirely different. And there may be many cases, as you can see, the way businesses work, that you don't have to pay tax. So even if your state has the income tax, your business may not be paying any tax just because of the structure of it all. Of course, if you take on income as personal income, different story. So I would say start there. Like you don't need to think, well, I'm going to get a Nevada Corp because this is the way, or I'm going to get a Delaware. Delaware, I find, is one of the most popular. When you look at a lot of these different big businesses and so on, I tend to find they go Delaware, but it depends on the type of business as well. Grant Cardone, he buys each of the individual properties that he buys. So these are, a property that might be $100 million or $200 million a property. These properties, he uses Delaware Corp. So maybe it depends on that particular type of, what the business is doing. It's not necessarily about paying the lowest tax, because you can obviously go offshore. You can go to Cayman Islands, live in Cayman Islands, get residence there, based on different factors. You can buy real estate and so on, and then pay zero tax. You just pay zero on everything. It's just 0, 0, 0 across the board. Is that the best place for you? Maybe not. Maybe not. Cayman Islands, best for some, not for others. All right, I'm way over time. But what else is new? Love watching your YouTube because you ain't trying to sell garbage. Yeah, I don't try to push anybody onto anything. I just kind of like, here's some information. I hope you enjoy it, and that's it. And yeah. I used to like getting electrocuted and would stick my hand into the lamp as a kid. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. A favorite Fed chair. Actually, you know what? If you read Alan Greenspan's book, it was his biography, I think it was, Age of Turbulence. I read that book, and it shows you from the beginning of Greenspan up until like whenever the book was written, okay? After he was Fed chair and everything. You see the guy, he is a smart guy. He was completely on point. Then he becomes Fed chair and he just completely sells out. Then he left Fed chair position. And if you watch his interviews after and so on, he's on point again. So he just completely sold out for those years that he was there for a long period of time, and obviously brought in the irrational exuberance, brought in, the mass bubbles. Part of it anyway. I mean, he didn't do it, but it's just interesting to see how that was. I actually really agree with most of what he says. Not during his time there, but if you read that book, you get a good sign of it. That is The Age of Turbulence or Age of Turbulence by Alan Greenspan. A very boring book, by the way, but overall good. Because it takes you through his whole history and everything, and it's like a biography, right? But good stuff. Greenspan caused it. Greenspan's a sellout. Yeah, I like the book. That's all I'll say. If you read the book, you'll be like, oh yeah, I agree with this guy. And then you're like, but what did he do at the Fed? What the heck? If you look at the actions at the Fed and the comments that he made during the Fed, and then you read the book and you realize what the heck? He was all about, a totally different guy as Fed chair. Let me just say that. All right, I'm out of here. Good stuff, guys, today. Thank you for being here today. If you haven't seen the video of the day, by the way, 9,300 people have been in this room today. Awesome stuff. Thank you for your time today. Check out the video that I did if you haven't seen it already. I posted it this morning. Really good. What is it? A Perfect Storm is here. So I talk about a lot of different issues. Highly recommend checking it out. And then obviously tomorrow is going to be another jam-packed one. I've already got more than, I think, 10 tabs open already and haven't even really started digging in. So definitely watch it. That's all for this. I'm going to end it. Take care and see you Friday. Oh, one quick announcement. If the $2 trillion repo happens this week, $2 trillion reverse repo, there's going to be an announcement, and we will do a $2 trillion reverse repo party. Stay tuned for that. Look forward to it.